You pretended as if you loved me. You ruined my life and left me. The chubby black lady fires the Mafia boss. Maribel Johnson had always been told she took up too much space. Too loud, too emotional, too hopeful. But in the candle-lit back room of Club Azura, where secrets were traded like currency, she felt invisible. That's where she met Luca DeMarco. Sharp suit, soft smile, eyes that looked like they carried storms. He said he loved her laugh, the way it filled rooms. He said he loved her mind, the way she noticed details others missed. For the first time in her life, Maribel felt seen. And when he asked her to manage his family businesses, she thought it was romance mixed with ambition, not crime mixed with manipulation. She learned fast. Numbers, schedules, negotiations, Maribel mastered them all. Luca called her his queen, his anchor, his future. He whispered promises over late-night espresso and silk sheets. But love, she discovered, can be a costume. Over time, she noticed the bruises on men who failed him, the coded messages, the way blood seemed to follow Luca like a shadow. When she asked questions, he kissed her quiet. When she doubted, he bought her dresses. And when she found a ledger that proved he'd framed her for money laundering, he vanished, leaving her with a burning house of lies. Maribel spent 6 months in a cell the color of old chalk, replaying every word he'd said, every lie she'd believed. She cried until her tears dried up like riverbeds in drought. Then she stopped crying. She listened. She learned. She met women who'd survived worse, who taught her how to turn pain into strategy. By the time the charges collapsed under the weight of Luca's own greed, Maribel walked out with a new kind of posture. Not small, not ashamed, but tall, deliberate, dangerous in her calm. Luca didn't expect her to find him. He was hiding in his own city, confident she'd crawl into a corner and disappear like he wanted. Instead, Maribel took what she knew, names, codes, roots, and built a quiet coalition of those he'd betrayed. She didn't want revenge, she wanted reckoning. In the underworld, power changed hands not with guns, but with information, and Maribel had both. She purchased Club Azura, renovated it into a community hub by day and a velvet rope empire by night. People came for music and stayed for the truth. The night she summoned Luca, rain turned the streets into mirrors. He arrived late, arrogant, expecting to charm his way back into control. When he saw her, he smiled like they were still lovers. Mari, he said, using the name he'd shortened to make her feel smaller. She didn't correct him. She didn't need to. She gestured to a chair and waited. Around them, people he once commanded now stood in loyalty to her. She had paid their debts, protected their families, listened to their stories. Leadership, she'd learned, wasn't loud. It was consistent. "I loved you," Luca said, like it was a confession. Maribel leaned forward, her voice soft but steady. "You pretended as if you loved me. You ruined my life and left me." The words were not angry, they were factual. She slid a folder across the table, bank records, witness statements, coded messages translated. He paled. She continued, "You taught me everything I needed to know, not about crime, about people." She stood, the room shifting with her. "And now, Luca DeMarco, you're fired." The room exhaled. Luca laughed, brittle and sharp. "You think you can fire me from my own empire?" Maribel smiled for the first time that night. "It's not yours anymore." Screens flickered on, showing signatures, contracts, votes. His lieutenants had chosen stability over spectacle. His money had been frozen. His routes had been rerouted. His myth had been punctured. Maribel hadn't taken his life. She'd taken his leverage, the kind of ending that hurt more. He tried to threaten her. She let him talk. When he finished, she said, "You once told me I took up too much space. Watch this." And she walked him out, not with guards, but with witnesses. People saw him leave without power, without applause. The rain rinsed the street clean, and for the first time, Maribel felt lighter without becoming smaller. In the weeks that followed, stories spread. They said a chubby black woman had fired a mafia boss. They said she did it with receipts and a smile. They said she turned a den of secrets into a sanctuary of second chances. Maribel didn't correct them. She built scholarships for kids who loved numbers like she did. She funded kitchens that fed people without asking questions. She hired the ones who'd been told they were too much. In her world, abundance wasn't a flaw, it was a promise. Sometimes, late at night, she still remembered Luca's laugh, the warmth that had once felt real. She let herself grieve the version of love she'd believed in. But grief, she learned, could sit beside growth. One evening, a young woman asked her how she became so fearless. Maribel shook her head. "I'm not fearless. I'm faithful to myself." She looked around at the room she'd built, full of voices and music and possibility. There's a difference. Years later, when someone tried to tell her story for her, Maribel wrote it down herself, not as a cautionary tale, but as a map. It was about a woman who learned that love should never ask you to disappear, about power that doesn't bruise, about taking up space without apology, and about the night she told a man who had broken her, not with violence, but with vision, "You don't get to run my life anymore." And if people insisted on calling her the chubby black lady who fired the mafia boss, Maribel wore the title like a crown, heavy with history, bright with hope, and entirely, gloriously hers.